I have made a big mistake. You know when you want something really bad? Like you really fucking desire it. I wanted a FujiFilm X100V, small, compact, light, retro stylish, 100% Fuji juice. But I couldn't find it. And what I could find, it was very expensive. Nowadays the prices have been skyrocketing. Therefore, I bought the FujiFilm X-S10. And now you're going to be like, what the fuck is this guy talking about? But hear me out. I think I mostly wanted something new. A new object, a new toy. In my head, the X100V should have been the camera that I take with me everywhere. I document my everyday life. If I go to the supermarket, I'm just gonna grab the camera with me and I put it in my cargo pants pocket. You know, my all-around camera, something different than what I take with me on a client shoot. You know, to keep things separate. So what do I do in this case? I sell my X-T3 because I thought the X-S10 could be an interesting update from the X-T3 because it's got IBIS, you know, it's got a flip-out screen for shooting video, for shooting myself now. Yeah, I get the X-S10. But I do that the week before I know I have a huge important job in Beirut, Lebanon. And who the fuck buys a new camera that doesn't know how to use it the week before an important job? This guy right here. You do not sell the camera that you know how to use and buy a camera that's very new to you right before an important gig. Just don't do it. But I had gas, not actual gas, you know, the gear acquisition syndrome, and my gear buying rush was super high. Yeah, I just went ahead and bought it. Fucking bought it. This is the biggest mistake I've ever done in acquiring gear, buying cameras, because I didn't really follow my intuition, my instincts. I should have just bought the X100V, kept the X-T3 and the X-T4, and I would have been a happy camper. But no, I fucking sold and bought and sold and bought, and I don't know. Right now, I have one camera. And I also bought the new 23mm linear motor, one f1.4 weather resistant. By the way, that's a fucking beast of a lens. Let's see why this was a big mistake. This is not me trying to shit on the X-S10 because it's a great camera, but it's just not for me. At first sight and on paper, the X-S10 looks pretty damn good. It's rather small, light. The grip does feel good in the hand, although the body itself seems a little bit too small for that grip. The specs are really good, and it comes with, you know, little small improvements over the previous cameras, like the rec button, which is amazing because you can shoot pictures and you can just go straight into recording a movie, although it's on automatic. Let's just go through the things that made me realize this was a mistake and that this camera does not do for me. Button placement. Button replacement and the removal of the D-pad, you know, could seem like not that big of a deal, but when you're used to using Fujifilm cameras with the dials and the buttons and everything, it kind of makes it difficult, and it's very confusing when you do client work. Overall, in terms of buttons, it doesn't feel really good. Battery life, I haven't really had that many problems with the battery life. Having the X-T3, I would normally go through 2 to 3 batteries during a day. With the X-S10 so far, I went through 2 batteries a day, max. I haven't really had to go to the third one. Weather resistance. Now, this is something that you think about it and you're like, I never really cared about my camera being weather resistant, but when you are used to it, like, you know, X-T4, X-T3, and now you don't have it, feels really bad. It feels like every single particle of dust or rain or water or whatever will end up in your fucking camera. And maybe it's just me, but I was a little bit worried. Okay, let's move on to specs, and this is pretty important. I think the problem here is that when you downgrade, you don't think much of it. You know, you think, I'm gonna just make do with what I have. The camera is not important, you know, is the photographer or the video maker. You will have to make the most out of your camera, and that's true. But then again, you know, if you don't want to overshoot or to, yeah, let's just shoot another one just in case, and to get it the first time in camera, I think it's rather important to have good gear. When you go from 15 frames per second with mechanical shutter to like 7 or 6. I don't know. It doesn't feel very good. I'm gonna tell you that. Like when you shoot action or stuff that moves really fast, you can feel it. You can feel it while shooting. It's not... I don't know how to explain it. You're just gonna miss everything that you got if you downgrade from an X-T4 or X-T3. In terms of video specs, when you start getting more into color grading, you know, and using F-Log and start to color your videos the way you want, the X-S10 shoots only in 8-bit, and while you can color that, it won't be the same as the 10-bit. You won't get the same flexibility, and the footage might start to fall apart really fast. Also, the X-S10 does not shoot H.265, it doesn't have the codec, and it doesn't shoot all intra, only long GOP. It's basically lower quality than the bigger brothers and sisters X-T4 and X-T3. If that's a problem for you, then I suggest that you don't buy it. Because you're gonna see the difference, you're gonna feel it. Now, overall, I think this is a very good camera for YouTube. If you're vlogging, if you're shooting videos indoors, it's perfect. If you're shooting portraits, if you're shooting in contexts that are not very dynamic, they don't move fast, they, you know, mostly static or really slow, I think this is a very good camera. And I'm not saying you cannot shoot action or sports or wildlife or I don't know, whatever it is that you're shooting with the X-S10, you can, but it has those limitations that make you want to, you know, switch to something better, especially if you're coming from a higher end camera. So yes for YouTube, yes for those people that are getting into Fujifilm, yes for a lot of things, but if you need a camera that you know it won't fail you, then I would suggest that you stick with the X-T4, X-T3, X-H2S if you got the money. And this was the biggest mistake that I've ever done in terms of buying gear. What about you? Do you suffer from gas? What's your biggest mistake that you've done in terms of buying gear? A few other things that pissed me off are the fact that there's no dual card slot. I don't actually need it, but it's good to have, to be honest. I have never had an SD card fail me, but you never know. The fact that I cannot reset my focusing point to the center with double tapping the nipple thingy drives me fucking nuts. You have to first tap on the focusing point selector and then to push the back button. It's like, why did you do that? If you're looking to buy another Fujifilm camera, I suggest that you watch this video right here, the Fuji X-T3 in 2020, and this video right here, the Fujifilm X-T4 versus X-T3, if you're in doubt which one to buy, and you'll see me in the next video. Bye!